You're listening to Bernadette Gold Unfiltered, which means you're ready for a new level in business, health, and life. Hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. No filter, no fluff. Let's go. We made it to episode 12. And before I say anything, I really want to acknowledge something. If you've listened to this entire series, you're not the same person who pressed play on episode 1. And I want to be honest about what that means, because this series introduced you to the work. It named the patterns, it gave you language for things you've been living but couldn't describe. It showed you the root underneath the struggle. But naming something is not the same as clearing it. And here's what I know from my 26 years of doing this work with people. Most people can't find their own programs and blocks or limitations, not because they're not smart enough and not because they don't want to, because they've tried, but because the ego, the very mechanism we talked about in earlier episodes, was designed to create blinders or blind spots, right? It protects you from seeing the very programs that most need to be seen, because then the ego gets to remain in control. It's just the way it is by design. And it's exactly why the work requires a guide, someone who can see what you can't see about yourself, someone who's been on the other side of their own deconstruction, someone who can look at the pattern you've normalized, name it before you even have words for it. This series was the map, and the work is the territory, but they're not the same thing. And I want to do something in this final episode. I want to name what's actually happening in the world right now, plainly, honestly, without softening it. And then tell you why everything we've talked about in this series matters more because of it, not less, more. What's happening in the world right now is a little scary. I'm not going to minimize that. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm not going to tell you to focus on the positive and trust the process and everything happens for a reason. I'm going to face this head on. The economy is unstable. The political landscape is the most chaotic in living memory. The middle class is under coordinated attack. Rights are being stripped and people are afraid. All of that is real. Here's what's also real. We can't control the weather. We can't control what the government does, what other countries are doing, what the markets are doing, what the people in power decide to prioritize over the well-being of the people that they serve and the earth. We can't control any of that. Spending our energy trying to control it or collapsing under the weight of not being able to, that's a trap. Here's what we can control: what goes on within us, how we show up, how we contribute, the programs we choose to clear, the identities we choose to build, the beliefs we choose to keep, and the ones we choose to release, the way we treat our bodies, the way we treat our time, the courage we choose to practice even when the world is doing anything and everything it can to manufacture fear. That is where our power lies, and it always has been. And that's why this series matters more than anything else I could have said to you in this moment. And it's not because inner work is a substitute for collective action. We can take collective action. But clearing your programs means you stop caring about what is happening in the world that you can't control. And you become a powerful contributor, a powerful, impactful influencer to your family, to your community, and in this new world being built right now. To do that, you will have to show up as the fullest, clearest, most aligned version of yourself. A person who knows who they are, who's not running on someone else's fears, judgments, programs, who's not dependent on someone else's approval. Someone who's done the work, the real work, the root work, and come out the other side unshakable. That's a person that changes rooms. That person changes families. That person changes businesses, communities, and ultimately the culture. And it's not by being the loudest voice. It's by being the most grounded one with a heart in the right place. So let me close this series the way it deserves to be closed, with a map of what you now have that you didn't have 12 episodes ago. You have a name for what's been happening in the world and what's been happening underneath your response to it. You have a name for the cage and comfort, for the fear that was manufactured and the fear that was real. You have a name for the employee mode that has traveled invisibly into everything you've built. You have a name for the set point, the thermostat, and the knowledge that it can be reset. You have a name for visibility, freeze, and the understanding of exactly where it came from and why it made sense at the time. You have a name for the programs, and the most important truth in this entire series is that having all of them is not a flaw. It's a starting point. You have a name for the difference between coping and clearing. And you have a picture, a real one, not a polished one, of what the other side actually looks like. That is not nothing. That is everything. Now, here's what I want to say about what comes next. If this series showed you something, if something shifted, something landed, something named a pattern you've been living but couldn't describe, don't let that awareness sit without action. Awareness without clearing is just a more sophisticated form of coping. The ego blinders I talked about in episode 8, they don't dissolve because you understand them. They dissolve because someone who can see them helps you find them at their root. And that work's available. Come find me at bernadettegold.com. Everything's there. And the next series is going even bigger. In this series, we asked how you survive when everything you've built on your own gets taken away or threatened. In the next series, we're going to ask completely different questions. It asks what's actually broken in the world around us and what we can do about it. Because the solutions already exist. They always did. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss what comes next. Drop a comment if this has been helpful. Share it. And find me on social media. I hope you're enjoying this, are you? Good. Because we're just getting started. This is Bernadette Gold, Unfiltered.